had hired a couple coaches before, and they didn't work. These particular programs were cookie cutter. Literally the first one I did, it was, here's a meal plan, follow it. You're eating this for a month. From there, it was very much just I don't know what the hell's going on. There was actually like significant underlying situations and things that my body was going through that I was totally just not paying attention to. And then I got this phone call at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was the same day that I had my test at the hospital. So instantly my stomach just like fell through me and I was like, oh shit. So she started describing all of this like medical wording and terminology in this. All I heard was brain. Then she said, if this doesn't get surgically removed, you're going to lose your vision.
Cool. How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
Today was busy.
Yeah, I totally agree. Life is just flying by, just meeting after meeting after meeting, but I was super looking forward to this.
For your day, you get pretty busy then too? Didn't feel like a normal Wednesday?
Couple weeks ago, so it was a short week. I work for 10-hour days. I work at New Gold, New Afton, just outside of Kamloops.
Okay.
So that's my 9 to 5, if you will, and then my 5 to 9 is my fitness stuff, which is my burning passion.
So do you actually work out at the mine, or is there an office in town?
Yeah, I work out at the mine. So thankfully, I'm pretty close. It's only about an 8-minute commute for me. So.
Do you enjoy that work?
I do, yeah. It's really fulfilling. I used to work in nonprofit, and so I was the director of events and festivals for the Memorial Cup in 2023, which was a really sweet time. I met a lot of people in the community and supported with events and sponsorships, which really built a ton of relationships in the community. So my role at the mine is community relations, so those relationships have transitioned really nicely for me, being able to kind of utilize them and now support them with some granting and funding that we dump back into the community. So it's a very rewarding job, very rewarding.
I got to ask about the Memorial Cup. Did you book the Glorious Sons then? Was that your idea?
It wasn't that wicked. Yeah,
I love them.
Yeah, it was such a good energy, such a good vibe down there. And we went through so many different bands and people that we wanted to bring to Kamloops, but they came with a significant budget. So this was one that we were able to bring in, that they were available, and certainly checked a lot of those boxes off for, engagement in the community and getting all those numbers down into that, into the zone, I think it was the Molson Canadian zone. I've lost that now, but
they put on an amazing show.
It was really fun. Yeah.
Fun story about them. My fiance and I, we've been together 8 years now, and Glorious Sons came through back when CJ's was still CJ's.
Yeah, right.
And we figured it out. I was bartending that night, and she was out drinking and partying, listening to the show. Yeah. So then us being able to go see them together was kind of like coming like full circle.
Totally. Yeah. You weren't serving or you weren't working. You guys got to actually enjoy it.
No, we stood in the middle for like 4 hours waiting for someone to come on stage because we got there so early.
Yeah. You know what? That evening though, I remember it was like so calm. The sun was setting like down over the river. They were playing. The vibes were super high down there that night for sure. So not a bad place to hang out for 4 hours.
Yeah. The next day we went to Hawaii the next day. So.
Oh, did you? Hey, wicked. That's a good lead. Yeah. A little segue into a trip.
Yeah, she went from being my girlfriend for my fiance on that trip.
Oh, nice. That's amazing. How did you plan that?
Oh, you ready for a long story?
Sure, I'm here for it.
Okay, so long story short, when I was 20, I was in Australia and I got caught in a rip and I almost drowned, and then terrified of water after that. And I've always been scared of heights. And then I was never into hiking. And then my fiance Janelle was really into it. Took her a couple of years to get me out doing it. So we started going out to it and then started going to waterfalls. And every waterfall, I'm like, okay, I don't like heights. I don't like water. I'm going to start jumping off the highest point into the waterfall. So every time we went for a hike, I would do that. And I slowly got over my fear. And then, so waterfalls kind of became our thing. And then the year prior, and so in 2022, we went to St. Lucia. And she for sure thought I was going to propose. But I had planned it out that we were going to find this wicked waterfall and she'd be looking around for it and then it wouldn't happen, so that when I did do it, it would be more of a surprise.
I love it.
And what I would do at every single waterfall we would go to is we would set up our phone on a little tripod and we just like film ourselves splashing around. So eventually when we were in Hawaii, we trampled through this bamboo forest outside of Lahaina before it burnt down, unfortunately. got to this wicked waterfall, set the camera up. We go and splash in there, and I have us perfectly framed, and she walks just around, like her back's to me, and I get down on one knee and I say, hey, turn around. And you can see her, like she knows it's happening, and she turns around and there's me on one knee, and she starts crying and jumps in the air, and obviously she said yes.
Yeah, totally. That's so cool. Well thought through. Congrats.
Thank you.
Good kudos to you. That's super special.
Like 5 years to plan
No
it.
doubt. And yeah, like there was like a few years of leading up to that moment. That's really cool. And then also you got it on camera, which I think lots of women miss that opportunity. They don't get the photo or the video of it all unfolding. So
Yeah, the only
Well,
unfortunate part, thank you, with the camera was I have a drone, and we didn't know where we were going, so I would fly the drone up and I would see where we would go, and we'd go there. And by the time we finally got to the spot I wanted to do, the drone was dead. So I couldn't have the drone doing it. So I do have it off the phone, but it would have been cool to have the higher shot as well.
yeah, that
But
would have been. Oh well.
shoulda, woulda, coulda.
The memories in the old noggin of yours, so you're good.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It's definitely up there for one of the more labor-intensive kind of things I've planned over my life.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, there's some weight behind that. Yeah, there's some weight behind that. Good for you.
Pretty preemptive, but we talked about rings and stuff, and she showed me what she liked. And then I had it on my phone, but then I switched phones. I didn't have that ring anymore. And then I searched the internet, scoured it, found the ring, got a guy to make the exact ring that she wanted. It's got a teal sapphire from, I don't know where it's from. And it's got kite diamonds on it, and exactly what it is. And it's exactly what she wanted, because she's not into the big diamond.
Yeah,
it's
the
just not her
cliche.
style.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, and
Something unique.
Yeah, she got
Yeah.
that. And
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Yeah, we're also engaged. We're not married at the moment, but we had a pretty wicked story. We went overseas. My dad's a pilot for the military over in Dubai.
Whoa.
So we went overseas and visited him. He's gone for 11 months of the year. And so we went over and visited him. And then for them, it's a really easy to sort of jump over to Europe, jump over to all these different areas. You know, it's just kind of a weekend getaway for them type deal. So on this trip, we booked a trip to the Maldives. And so more or less, you know, in the back of my mind, of course, I'm like, oh, what a wicked opportunity this would be for him, right? So yeah, we stayed at this resort, flew in. It was amazing. And then when we were researching the resort, one of the things that we saw online was this girl, and she was totally an influencer type, and selling this resort, and this is why you should come. And this one particular beach, there was kind of 2 islands, and there was a bridge connecting the 2 of them, and various different locations and beaches depending on where you wanted to be. And this one beach, she was like, this is the most beautiful beach in the world, and just totally blew it out of the water. Ridiculous. It was beautiful. They were all beautiful. So of course, we spent the day, we went over to the pool, I got scorched, we were going back to the villa, and then he's like, Elsa, let's walk the beach back to the villa. And this happened to be the most beautiful beach in the world. Anyway, and so I was wrapped in this towel because it's, you know, the sun down there is so brutal. Like it's so
aggressive.
Hot. It's so aggressive. And so was not looking the part, to say the least. And we were walking down the beach and I was a little bit ahead of him. And then he's like, where, like, you're so far. What are you doing? Where are you? Where are you going? And I'm like, back to the villa. It's hot over here. Anyway, and so of course I turned around and he was like down on one knee, and then it all kind of unfolded from there. And my family, my dad and his wife, they were responsible for capturing this video or some photos, but because I had gone off walking back to the villa, we were a little bit too far away for some of the photos. So unfortunately we had to recreate that moment afterwards.
You've got it up. Oops, you got it up here though, right?
I do, so. Exactly. Yeah, not many people can say they got proposed to in the Maldives on the most beautiful beach in the world.
Did the beach live up to reality? I know a lot of those times you see like Instagram versus reality. What was it like actually in person?
It actually was pretty spectacular. And for me, I am a huge water person, and that you could see like the distinct lines of the water. It was a little bit darker, and then it was just like this burning aqua blue with the white beach. And it honestly it was a dream.
Came as advertised.
Exactly, yeah. You put me in an ocean or on a lake or by the lake on a beach anywhere, Tofino, Maldives, I'm happy.
That's your happy place.
It is, yeah, for sure.
Growing up, was your dad gone a lot then with being a pilot?
Yeah. We grew up, I was actually born up north in Terrace.
Are you really?
Yes.
That's where I'm from.
Really?
Born and raised.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Lived there till I was 22.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I was born and I haven't been back. So not sure I'll be able to reflect on much that goes on up there. But
There's not much that goes on up there.
yeah, he was in forestry, so we went from Terrace to Prince George, and then my parents went through a split, so he went back to being a pilot, which was his calling and always has been. And yeah, he's been overseas in Croatia, Turkey, Dubai, the Maldives. He flew in the Maldives for quite some time as well. So he's been gone a lot, but actually just this summer, he's back for the summer. He's flying the Fireboss planes for Conair, fighting fires for BC Wildfire.
Do you think that affected you growing up, having him gone for so much?
My parents went through a divorce, and so my sister and I were pretty young when that happened. And, you know, my mom totally stepped up to the plate. She was our rock. She was our role model. She did all the things and just really made sure that our upbringing was as solid as it ever should have been and could have been, and all of the things regardless of what happened. And she met somebody, and he has, you know, stepped up to the plate even more than anyone could ask for. And we all get along to the point where we actually all have dinner and like go for beers. And I think it made for a really solid upbringing for my sister and I, just having that civilness between everybody and not really allowing that to affect you.
Come between you and your parents then, yeah. So with your dad flying all over Croatia and you said the Maldives, did you get to see lots of the world then growing up?
Yeah, you know, we went over and saw him in Dubai. We've been to Dubai a couple times. And then we went to Turkey and Istanbul, and those are the only two spaces that we've been to or visited him.
The only two.
The only, yeah. What a tough go. Yeah, but they were both just amazing. And because he lived over there, you kind of had this like insider scoop. You knew where to go to eat. You knew what to do and what to see.
Well, if you want to go back to Terrace, I got the insider scoop for you there.
Perfect.
It's actually very beautiful up there. Hiking, mountain biking, rock climbing, skiing, all that crazy stuff, fishing, totally. Tons of helicopter tours. Beautiful, but it's kind of small.
Yeah, we totally have we want to go. We definitely want to go check it out.
How did you end up in Kamloops?
So we came here in 2003 when the hill was on fire. I think that was Strawberry Hill that was on fire. I was quite young. And so we moved here, and my parents bought a place up in Rose Hill, and it was a vivid memory that we moved in. Mom was like, what have we done? Everything's on fire. And I think Knutsford was also on fire simultaneously. We literally packed the go box, went back to the coast and waited it out essentially, because Mom's like, we're out of here. This is ridiculous. What have we done? So yeah, I have not left since, which is actually wild, but the opportunities have kind of just unfolded as they have.
You've been here 3 years longer than me then.
I've been here so fast.
16 or 17 years. I don't know. I stopped counting after a while.
Totally. Where did you come from?
From Terrace. Yeah.
Oh, you came straight from Terrace. Yeah. Okay.
I moved down here with a girl, and she was going to go to university, so I came and went to university. Nice. And I remember my first summer here. It was the year that Kamloops broke the record for most days above like 35 or 36. And in the middle of that, my job was College Pro Painters. I fell 15 feet off a ladder. I was getting stung by wasps, and I was trying to come down. And I came down on the driveway, and it was uneven concrete, and I went pop, and my ankle just snapped.
Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
I was really lucky though. The bone snapped off. The tendons didn't snap, so I had an air cast on. I spent most of that heat wave down in my basement playing Call of Duty.
Oh, yeah, totally. Damn it.
Everyone else is at the beach in Overlander. I can't get down there.
How long did you have to have the cast on for?
I think 6 weeks.
Oh, that's rough.
And physio.
And you can't work. You're off.
I really lucked out. I was only supposed to get WCB until the end of the season, but he worked until the end of November. So he said I was supposed to work till the end of November as well. So I got those benefits for an extra like 2.5 months.
Wicked. Oh, that's a solid that's a solid gig.
It helped me out, especially as a starving student on student loans and everything.
Totally. So did you go back to painting when you healed up, or did you?
I got into bartending that year. Never looked back.
Yeah. You loved it? Late nights?
Oh, when I was younger, I loved late nights, but I love to talk. I center of attention. Everyone wants to be your friend.
Yeah, totally.
Flipping bottles and
making a scene.
Always making a scene.
Yeah. Did you have like a special move that everyone was expected of you when they saw you, or a free drink here or there?
So I learned early on from one of my mentors for bartending. It was face drink. Next one, as you're walking up, if you're a regular, say it's always a Crantini or a Bud. I would have it ready for you as you walked by, and then I'd remember your name, and it just sort of built on that. And I gave out a lot of free alcohol for sure.
I believe it. Yeah, I'm sure that happens all the time.
I wonder. So when did I stop? I probably served you at some point.
I definitely didn't have too much of a party phase. I'm a bit of an old soul. I love my early nights and my early mornings, and it's always kind of been that way. And drinking is just never really like, definitely had a phase. Definitely had a phase.
I think it's good to learn that younger. A lot of the younger generation, like a lot of them just don't drink at all. It's just not really a thing like it was for us. It was everyone was drinking every weekend.
Yeah.
Hard.
I totally agree. I know. And I wonder if it's like, there's other substances that people are using instead, like marijuana now that it's legal.
I think a big part of it is the non-alcoholic drinks are way better. So I'm seven and a bit years sober now.
Oh, wow. Holy moly. Good for you.
No drugs, no alcohol.
Yeah.
But when I stopped, there was like the Bud Zero and they tasted like piss. But now, like we have in our fridge out there, we've got the Phillips peach ones and you can't tell the difference.
Yeah, no, they are very good. I've tried them before. And honestly, I drink for the social component of it. I don't really drink because I have the desire to drink. So typically I will just reach for a non-alcoholic because I do enjoy the taste of it. And those IOTAs are delicious.
It's more socially acceptable to not drink. Whereas I remember when I quit, my social circle really shrunk because a lot of these friends just knew me as Party Caleb. And
totally. Yeah, you're not as fun anymore. We have a place, our family has a place out on Kalamalka. It's a little bit of a community. There's people are doing, potlucks or dinners and, you go out on the boat and then you pack a cooler, you go to their site, you have a drink, they fill you up. That is the social environment. And like I said, it doesn't really make me feel good at all. And so I just like slip my Diet Cokes or my like non-alcoholic drinks into my koozies and continue on. So I don't even have to explain it. I just don't.
They don't even ask then.
Don't even ask. I'm just sipping on a drink.
I did for a long time. If I'd even get a water, I would get just a soda water, but I would ask for in a double rocks glass with a lime on the side. Totally. And then everyone thought I was drinking and they just left it alone.
I know. Easier that way, especially if you're coming from a space where there has more implications or there's more feeling behind it.
I'm a all or nothing. I believe that how you do anything is how you do everything. And it was never one or two. It was like 12 or 15.
Totally.
So don't have that on or off switch. It's always on.
Well, and you just being able to recognize that as substantial, that's huge. And kudos to you. I think there's, my husband or my fiance's dad passed away and he struggled with that quite significantly. It's definitely just a very common conversation that we have together, and we just check in to make sure that he's good, and there's definitely some guilt and so on there with that topic specifically. So it speaks to me, and it's
Did that happen while you've been with him or before?
Yeah, there's definitely some guilt and so on there with that topic specifically. So it speaks to me, and it's
Did that happen while you've been with him or before?
Yeah, it happened just before COVID. So it was a little bit of a rocky time for sure.
How was COVID for you guys being locked up?
Yeah, so I am and was very thankful. I was still employed through that entire period of time. I worked remotely, and it was definitely a juggle between figuring out how to get the job done, and then he was laid off for quite a while, and that was definitely a bit of a struggle. And I think that just sort of layered on to his passing of his dad. But then he's higher up with a company in town, so he was kind of the first of the bunch to get back to work. I think it only lasted about 4 or 5 months, but even then, it's definitely impactful.
I truly believe that humans need routine. You need something to get up in the morning for. Oftentimes you see people retire and they're on their CPP and their pension and they don't have anything and they pass away. They were healthy, living their life working 9 to 5 or at the mill or whatever it is. And then months later, they've just deteriorated and then they're gone.
My grandpa, they had a place in Cowichan on the island. They had this property and he managed this property, did all the garden work, did all of the work on that property. And as he aged, he just was exhausted. He couldn't keep up with it. And so him and his wife moved down, my grandma and grandpa, down to Victoria, right in the city. And he didn't have those responsibilities to get up and
those
take
reasons
the dogs.
to move.
Yeah. The downward trend happened so incredibly fast. You're so right.
How did you, with COVID yourself and being a fit person and not being able to go to the gym, what did you do during that time? Oh my God. Did you just rediscover yourself?
Oh yeah, like all of the items that we had on the back deck. It was like propane bottles and stretchy band. Like thank God we had bands because I was able to do a lot with that. And I think one of the gyms in town stayed open, so I was able to get to that gym. It was a wild wild experience.
It was insane.
Yeah.
I remember I went and bought kettlebells for my fiance and I'd nenever done kettlebell swings before. And I read a workout. It's, yeah, you just do 1,000 kettlebell swings. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. And bad idea. My groin has never been so sore.
Yeah. This is why you don't do everything you see online. There's some crazy shit.
It was great to have them though. And I remember they were 4 times the price they should have been because
everybody wanted them.
Everyone wanted a treadmill and everyone wanted kettlebells and the dumbbells and the plates and the.
Yeah, I mean, between doing some stuff at home on the deck and then getting to the gym, it was sufficient, but definitely not the normal routine. So was happy to get back to the gym, even if I had to wear a face mask.
Is that when you started doing your 5 to 9 then, your second kind of work, your passion?
I started coaching just in November, actually. So it hasn't actually been super long, but the actual world of fitness and just my journey has been quite a bit longer than that. Yeah, I guess COVID was 2020, so I was still sort of just doing my thing and thought I was doing all the right things and totally wasn't.
Usually how it goes.
Yeah, totally. And I was following all the things online thinking I was doing all the right things and quickly realized that I was burning out and my mental space was not good. And I think at that time with our relationship, Matt and I, but then also just my health and my fitness and what I wanted to be and just not knowing how to get there. It was a very messy time for sure.
What did you do to kind of clean up that mess?
It was definitely like a lot of deep self-work. You can't really pursue anything without having that solid foundation as an individual, knowing, what your values are, what your goals are, and really just, having that backbone of support, whether it's somebody or yourself. Definitely just independence and worked on myself and my mental health. And, with the gym, it's an activity, it's a hobby. I actually genuinely really love to do it and be active and be out and about. So that part never really was a struggle for me in terms of motivation and being an active person. And then I love food, so I
got to work out more so you can eat more.
Totally. I'm like, yeah, I got to put this to work. Huh? From there, it was very much just I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm so active and I really ate quite clean. So I thought, I hired a coach because I had hired a couple coaches before and they didn't work. When I do something and I sign up for something or I commit to something, I give it my absolute all.
Love it.
And these particular programs were cookie cutter. Literally the first one I did, it was, here's a meal plan, follow it. You're eating this for a month. Caleb, I literally ate everything for that month and I went nuts. I went stir crazy. By the end of it, I was like, how could this be my life? Like, I love to cook. I love to eat. I am a social person. I like to be out and about. Like, this is never going to work. And I didn't really get good results because it was cookie cutter and that's not a realistic approach, right? And so that ship sailed. And then of course I'm like, there's got to be a better way. You see all this stuff online and then I hired another coach and definitely made some progress and I think really began to understand kind of all the components that goes into it and didn't have like the most amazing success. I think I was another sort of hamster on the wheel in that organization and, was given lots of support, but never really just sunk in with me. And there's some missing components now that I've become a coach and really understand what it takes to understand how to build that foundation and make it happen for somebody. And then I hired a third coach. And this coach, she was my cheerleader. She was in my corner. She was available anytime I had a question. She didn't just give me something, she taught me it so that I knew what I was doing, why I was doing it, why my body was responding a certain way, and, when to know when something was off or not off, and when it was feeling good. And that was my launching pad right then and there. It all just clicked. Yeah, I lost 30 pounds and
a lot of weight.
Yeah, it was a lot of weight and build muscle and it was just a breath of fresh air to realize that I didn't have to give up all of this stuff to get the result that I was ever looking for. And really the changes weren't drastic. It was just a matter of tweaking a couple things and really just making sure I was maximizing the effort that was being put in.
Do you think there was one specific small tweak that made the most change in your body and how you felt about everything?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely nutrition. That's the biggest thing. And I know that everybody hears that so often. And it is the absolute truth. You can be active, but you need to know how to feel your body so that you can sustain that activity, so you're not putting your body in a state of stress and making matters worse for yourself and your body. So it was definitely the nutrition, and then just building the relationship with food and it not being a negative relationship. Like I said, I love to cook and I love to go out and try new foods, and just knowing that I don't have to worry about that, and I know how to now balance my life and incorporate it all. And
How do you balance your life with that?
with nutrition, yeah, I am also a firm believer that routine is so good and so healthy, and it doesn't have to be a strict routine. It's just certain things that you do day in and day out that keep you on track and that keep you level headed. Just having some of these basics, like I have my greens in the morning, that just sets me up. It makes me feel good, and then nutrition, it's just, I don't overcomplicate it. And I think a lot of people see it as a complication. And, for an example, this weekend or this past week, I was away and I came home late Sunday night. And so I, whipped some random thing together for work on Monday, and I just kept it simple. You can have a chicken sandwich and track the bun and track the chicken and have some tomato soup with it. Like, there's a tomato soup and sandwich deal, right? And then the following night I had this head of cauliflower. I had some pre-batch cooked chicken in the fridge, this like low fat Alfredo sauce. So literally I just like cut up the cauliflower, dished it out into 3 different containers because I had 3 working days left. Chuck some chicken in there, dump some sauce in there. I go to work, heat it up, put some Franks on there, and it's a delicious, like cheesy, warm, humbled, filling, macro-friendly meal. Kind of consider it my carburetor, honestly. I just chuck it in, and I love bowls.
Yeah, I love mixing everything together.
Yeah.
My go-to is I love cheeseburgers. So what I do is all my meals, when I'm putting like bowls together, and I want a more like cheaty style one, it's not actually cheating, but I make it as close to like a cheeseburger bowl as I can.
For sure.
So I have the no sugar added ketchup,
Yeah.
pickles, onions, tomatoes, and it doesn't matter what's underneath. The rest of it just makes it taste like a cheeseburger. A little bit of goat cheese in there. It's super flavorful, lower on the calories.
Yeah, so much volume, and it's just delicious. And when you go out, honestly, burgers are one of the best things that you can order because it's relatively trackable. You can track the bun, the veggies are more or less, and not even a conversation. Get the sauce on the side, and you're kind of on your way, as opposed to a bowl where it's just, you don't really know what they've hidden in there.
All the oils and the sauces.
Yeah, like all of the carbs, right? All of the fats. So yeah, burgers actually aren't the worst option on a menu when you go out.
We went for brunch on Sunday, Earl's, and I got eggs Benny. And it was the first time I've gotten the hollandaise sauce on the side because I was looking more into it, and I've always been into tracking macros and stuff. I missed the boat. Could have been a billionaire. I was tracking macros in a spreadsheet that I made back in like 2006 in Excel.
Really?
And you would start typing the word, so chicken breast, and it would populate it for you. You'd click it, and then you'd choose if it was in ounces or grams, and it would populate everything for you to track all your calories.
Are you serious? Did you create the spreadsheet?
Yeah, I made that. I didn't know how to use Excel. I just sort of like figured it out as I went. And I think I had like 400 or 500 different items in there that you could pull up, and I gave it to all my buddies. And we were doing that for years before MyFitnessPal came out.
Yeah, you could have been a billionaire.
Yeah, it came out and I was like, shit.
I know FitnessPal is honestly, once you figure it out, it's brilliant. It's not restrictive. It really just creates freedom once you understand it and have that flexibility. So that's super cool.
Yeah, I missed the boat.
Have you reflected back on it to see how it compares?
I don't really like MyFitnessPal. I used it for a bit, but then when they started like popping the ads up and stuff, and like I didn't find the user interface kind of that friendly. I use Macro Factor now.
Okay. Yeah, that's also a super good one.
Yeah. I like that one. I actually, when MyFitnessPal came out, I tried it and I went back to using the spreadsheet instead.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I just found it more user friendly.
Yeah. Cool.
It's
good
great
for you.
Thanks.
Hey, that's ingenuity.
It's great now with them how they have like the barcode scanner, and if the item's not in there, you enter it, and then it's in the database for everyone else. Yeah. But back to the eggs Benny, my favorite breakfast.
Right.
I had the sauce on the side, and I was looking up the calories in hollandaise sauce. I was like, wow, it's just straight fat.
It's so brutal.
It's why it's so awesome.
It's typically the sauces. It's wild.
I'm a sauce guy.
The amount of that they put in there is honestly astonishing. These are the simple tweaks that I was doing, or the things that I've changed now, where you're like, I'm definitely in a deficit. Got to be in a deficit, right? Beforehand, of course. And then you would douse your whatever it was in this barbecue sauce that for every 2 tablespoons had 30 grams of carbs in it, or some ridiculous thing. And there you went well over your calorie deficit and weren't making any progress.
Yeah, it's easy you have your salad or whatever, and then you throw ranch on top and you don't realize you just put 4 tablespoons of ranch and it's 90 calories per tablespoon.
Yeah.
There's more calories in the sauce than your meal was.
Exactly. In the entire meal. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head.
You get a lot of fulfillment out of that side of things then?
Yeah, my 5 to 9 fills my cup. It's a burning passion. It's an absolute burning passion of mine, just knowing that where I was and now I'm in a position to help change that for others and shape that perspective and that education for other people just makes me so damn excited. Yeah.
Have you always been a giving person?
Yeah, for sure. I was actually talking with a colleague at work today, and they were talking about the dynamic with her and her husband and this blended family. And she thinks the kids should be parented in this way, and he's thinking it should be this way. And they're, having a little bit of conflict at home. And I have a girlfriend like that in my life as well, that, they have a kind of a similar dynamic. And I'm her sounding board. I don't have the answers. I don't have kids, but definitely just a person that happy to be a shoulder to lean on and somebody that's always there for you. My friends, we kind of use this analogy. It's you're all like stars. They're always there, but you don't always see them. So
with your clients for your fitness stuff, are you that shoulder for them as well, that sounding board?
Yeah, I definitely consider myself their cheerleader. Ask me all the questions. I'm in your corner. I am your resource. We have fun with it. I make it really clear that it's you reaching out to me at 9:00 at night because you're starving, because you've had like a extra busy day and you burned some more calories and this is good. This is your body responding. Like, let's capitalize on this. Let's allow this as a teaching opportunity. And that's what made it significant for me. And that's where I got my success, was my coach was always there for me. And of course I've set some healthy boundaries, but if somebody needs me and they need some support and they need to answer their questions answered, I'm sure that I'm always around to help support with that. I'm like a little mini cheerleader. Never knew it, but I am.
Pom-poms in the air.
Totally, yeah. Wouldn't have it any other way. Pretty thankful for it.
When you first have clients come to you, what's the biggest thing that you influence?
Honestly, it's mindset.
Yeah.
Mindset is such a huge one for my clients. I think they know what they want, but I just make super solid foundation and like clear understanding of like my relationship and how I'm going to support them. And I'm always there and I'm in their corner to support them. They need to know that this is like a lifestyle change, and with the approach that we want to take for them to feel like it's a lifestyle change and that they have that balance in their life. I make that clear. There's a lot of information and there's a lot that I'm going to teach you. And this is going to take, it just takes time to understand the true balance and the flexibility with it all. So I really set that foundation of just remove the expectations that you're going to drop 20 pounds in 3 weeks with these 3 simple food groups that I'm going to incorporate. Like, it's not how that works. And I think with the misinformed information that there is online, some people might be under the impression that that's what they're going to get. And I don't want them to be disappointed. And I really like to, lay that foundation that we're going to get you these goals. I'm going to give you a solid plan and I'm going to backbone you with the knowledge and the information, but you're the executor, and consistency is key. So,
yeah. Consistency beats intensity any day of the week.
Like, no, we don't need perfection. That's not realistic. That's not the lifestyle that we're after. So I just had a client, actually, I just recently posted her story, and she dropped 38 pounds in the last 6 months, which for her, that's, she was giving herself a hard time, right? She was going, but I gained like 100 pounds and, that's not even halfway there. And, and I was able to really zoom out her situation and how far she's actually come, and all of the things that she's still been able to incorporate in her life while on this program. Her and her sister were overseas in Europe, traveling around for 3 weeks. They had the wine, they had the cheese and the bread, but we just like built this solid plan so that when she was overseas, she knew what she needed to do, and it didn't control her trip. It still allowed her to do all the things that they had planned in their itinerary. And she came back, I was expecting her to have some water weight and her weight be up a little bit, and it totally wasn't. It was the same weight that she left with. I just was absolutely blown away. And so just being able to be in their corner and really zoom back on the how far they've actually come. And, you've dropped not only 38 pounds, but have a look at these photos. The differences in your photos you have in the last month, let alone the last 6 months, was just insanity. So it just makes me really proud to teach those fundamentals, to understand that this is actually achievable, and to get those results. And yeah, she traveled Europe, goes on work trips. She travels a lot for work. And so, of course, that provides those inconveniences and lack of routine and catering for these conventions and so on. So just learning how to pick the right foods and stay on track. So it's been really, really rewarding to be able to teach that for other people.
I think what a lot of people fail to realize too is they're looking at the scale too much, and she lost 38 pounds, but that's 38 pounds of losing like the shitty weight. But how many pounds of muscle did she actually put on? Right?
Exactly. Yeah. She's so strong. And that's what she says. She's like, the energy is up. I feel strong. Like she's lifting more and more weight each week. Like it's just pure magic. There's no other way to describe it. Her body's just in such a wonderful state of just burning and consuming the nutrients that we're providing her. And then she's just, it's so cool.
My friends like to say I'm on the Jonah Hill diet because I yo-yo up and down so much.
Yeah.
Big, small, big, small.
Totally.
But there's that point when eventually you don't need to see it in the picture, but you actually look in the mirror and you're like, holy shit, I look different.
Yeah.
Like, it's working.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I did is I zoomed this out and I actually sent her progress pictures. Dude, have you had a look at this? Like, is this resonating with you as much as it's resonating with me? Right. And she hadn't actually compared her photos. And so she was like, at that point, quickly realized how much progress she had actually made. Yeah, it was amazing. And this was just on Friday, actually. So it kicked off for a really solid weekend for her. And, she's just nailed this week. And now she's got Foam Fest on Saturday. So she's got a little bit more extra carbs for her team to do the things. So, yeah.
Get the energy in.
Get the energy in, yeah.
I did Foam Fest last year. It was a blast.
Did you? Yeah, I haven't done it, but I totally want to. I forgot about it.
It was so cold, though, the day we were up there. It was cloudy and windy. And
you're soaked.
Yeah, well, I thought it'd be cool to do the whole thing in a giant hot dog costume.
That's going to work perfectly.
It was like 8 feet tall, and sure. I was high-fiving everyone. They thought they were having a blast because of it. But as soon as you go down that first slide, and it was this thick, like shitty, it was like a Halloween costume. But everyone else was shivering. But actually, because my layer was so thick, I was like sweating on the inside.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I did it with my fiance Janelle,
yeah.
and I have 2 boys from a previous relationship, and
yeah.
they were 9 and 11 at the time, and they were in shorts and no t-shirts, and they're shivering, and my oldest son's like, can I go ahead? You guys are slow. So he takes off, and I actually tore my quad. We were going through one of the kind of bouncy obstacle courses, and a kid fell on me, and I went down and twisted, and my legs were so cold because it's freezing out. And I didn't notice at first, and then we came to this hill, and I was going up. I was like, oh no, something's wrong. So I had a grade 1 tear in my lower quad at about 2 kilometers in.
Oh no.
So we slowed down. Took us a long time to finish. And
I was going to say, but you finished it.
Oh yeah, we did everything. At one point, there's a mud pit. You had the option to walk around, or you had the option to like walk through. And I came up to it and I was like, there's no fucking way I'm not diving in. So I went head first into this 4-foot mud pit. And then the 50 people that were behind me, because there's a bit of a line, everyone jumped in. But everyone in front of us just sort of waded through it. I was like, no, we're going to do this right.
No, if you're doing it, you're doing it. Yeah, get in there. Totally. And there's something to be said. It's like when it's raining out. If you're just soaked, at that point, there's no turning back. Just get on with it, Jump in 2 feet. Love it.
Head first. Yeah. My mom always said, I never half-assed anything. I always full-assed it. If I'm gonna get hurt.
You seem like a full-ass person. I love it. I was going to say, and you've had a few injuries.
Yeah.
You've had a fair share of injuries.
I can't even count the number of bones I've broken. I got a new fresh scar, that one there.
Oh, yeah. What did you do?
So I was in Bali in April with Adrian and our buddy Justin. Yeah. And we're at this villa, and there's this sick outdoor pool. And I look at this bush, and I'm like, bet you I could jump over that bush into the pool. They're like, yeah, okay, like, do it. So I go and I run, and like last step before I launch, I just go ass over teakle and slip. And I should have checked out this bush before. It's some sort of palm kind of tree, but the branches were like probably 2 inches around, and I snapped a bunch of them, and I coming down, and we filmed it, and So Adrian's in the pool with the camera, and then Justin just had the phone. And if you slow it down, what happens is as I flip over the tree, my head's coming right for the edge of the pool, but my arm reaches out, and I didn't do this. This is how my arms were flailing, and I pushed off. Otherwise, I would have went face first on day 2 of the trip, and would probably lost all my teeth.
Yeah. So thank God your arms were flailing and landed the way they did.
Big, long, lanky arms out of the way.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Did you have surgery? Or did you break it? Or
No, I just...
You got stitches?
No, I didn't get stitches, but it was cut up pretty bad.
Oh, I see. So this is just the
after effects.
The healing.
Yeah. Well, the day before, I thought I broke my big toe, though. So it's still messed up, and it's been over 2 months. We were at a waterfall, and just the way the sun was kind of hitting where the water was, it was maybe knee deep, and I was walking, and then it wasn't knee deep, and I went with my left foot probably down like 4 feet and just boom, and it swolled up. It's black and blue. And
was this the same toe that you? I think was it when you did your big fundraiser up at the TCC? You hurt your toe during that period of time?
No, the TCC. What I hurt was inside of my left quad, and then the upper outside of my right one, because I did 50 kilometers turning left. And so I did 86 kilometers around the track for 12 hours, a 200-meter track indoors. But anytime you're doing the corners, the outside foot is a longer step. Yeah. So I probably did, 10 or 15 kilometers more on my right leg than I did my left leg. And it was just...
so sore.
Yeah.
You sure you paid the price for that? Shit.
It was bad.
Yeah, no doubt. But it's such a cool accomplishment. Like, that is a long ass day.
50 miler, yeah.
Holy moly. That must have been quite the mental game, the mindset you would have had to go into that event.
Well, my mindset with things, and I've realized this early with my running, is if I have to do a 10-kilometer run, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the 10 kilometers. And I get to that 10 kilometers and my mind like shuts off. I don't have any more. So if I have to do a 20 or 30 or, 85 that day, that's what I'm going to do. So I went out there and that's what I did. I got 86 in 12 hours and the goal was 85.
That's so crazy. I can totally relate to that statement in terms of whatever you set out to go and do is totally what you're going to do. And I think that's how it's kind of launched me into this whole running world I went out one day and I was like, you know what? I can do this. Like, I've always really enjoyed running, but I never had done incredibly long distances at all. And I went out with a girlfriend, and then the couple weekends later, I was like, that felt really good. Like, why did that feel so good? And I quickly realized that since I've lost weight and built muscle and endurance and all of the other things and just really built a solid foundation, that's why it felt so good. I was like, shit, that's addicting. And then I went out and I did 14 and I was like, shit, that wasn't that bad. And now it's just kind of like progressed, and now I have a race on Sunday and I'm like, we're just jazzed for it. So yeah, it's just another reason to build the foundation. It serves so many more purposes. The goal isn't, sure, aesthetics are great, but to feel strong and wake up and actually feel good in your body is, I don't think many people can say that.
Yeah, if you look good, but you can't, hang out on the beach with your buddies and throw the football around or run after your dog when they're running away and you're out of breath, what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah, I know. I heard this. They were chatting on the radio, and the percentage of people that wake up in the morning and feel not good, something's wrong, they're sore back or they're tired or whatever it is. And I can't remember the stat at this very moment, but it was significant. It was like the majority of the population, more or less, is just got some issue, or they take Advil or Tylenol every day.
I used to pop Robaxacet and Aleve like Skittles.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they were saying. They were like, yeah, it's just like back pocket. It's like candy.
Yeah. Every morning I'd go out and there's my vitamins and there's my Robaxacet. That's when I was doing powerlifting.
Yeah.
Always like sore but injured and pushing through injuries and kept working. And I was huge. I was 255 and it's awesome to like move big weight, pull 585 off the ground and squat over 500 and all that. But I would get out of breath tying my shoes. Couldn't even walk up a flight of stairs.
Sure, yeah. You don't have that endurance component to it at all, yeah. And
Zero.
you're just enormous.
Oh, yeah.
So strong.
And it was hard to put on weight at that time because I have shitty cardio, but you go and lift twice in a day and you're putting up, 5x5s and 4x3s and stuff. It takes a lot of energy to
That's
pull
intense.
500 pounds plus off the ground multiple times.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, cardio's that's not a thing at that point.
No,
Yeah.
all
You've
out
burned
efforts.
all of the calories.
Yeah, I would get home, and to hit my caloric needs, I would have like 2 tubes of Pringles just for more carbs and fats in my diet.
Wow.
I would eat bags of Skittles, and
I'm sure
and
fiance just loved having you in the house with all that stuff.
we watched a lot of Netflix. Yeah, I was on EI at the time, so I had nothing but time to hang out with my kids and go
Yeah.
to the gym and eat a lot of shitty foods. And she's way better when it comes to food than I am. If I start eating, I'm just eating like the bag of Lay's, but you can't just have one. That's with me with all food. But she'll have this little plate of food. She'll have a little bit, like maybe 3/4, and then she's like, "Okay, I'm done." But if I have it on my plate, I'm like, even if I like to get to the point where I'm like stuffed, and that's just from, I don't know, being like I was never a fat kid, but I always ate like one.
Yeah.
And I like that. For me, that feeling is what full's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I'm clearly full much before then, so I've really had to kind of retrain my brain. Like, you put less on the plate. It's okay if you don't feel like you have to throw up because you've eaten so much.
Yeah, no, and that's such a huge conversation where people, there's like this anxiety if you're in a deficit, and I guess as it progresses, right? Sometimes this feeling of feeling hungry is a concern, or it becomes worrisome, and that can kind of develop into that sort of situation where if you're not stuffed, you're like, uh-oh, I'm gonna go hungry, which is totally ridiculous, right? But something I've actually experienced for sure. I've had to do that, exactly what you've just said, is what goes on the plate is less than, and it's what I've tracked, of course, and like drink some water and let that settle, and magically it actually is totally fine.
Yeah, it's definitely a mental hurdle to get over. It got so bad for me that I would probably throw up like for years, I don't know, like 7 to 10 times a week. And it was normal for, I'm a loud vomiter as well, but I have a pretty weak
Gotta
stomach.
get it out.
Pretty weak stomach too. Like,
Yeah.
and you know how if you're feeling sick and then you get near the washroom, the toilet, you kind of start to feel better. But for me, if I felt sick, it was always coming up. So for years, it was almost every day. And then it got down to a couple times a week, and then maybe like once a month. And now I think it's been a year since I kind of really sorted it out. With your fitness journey, have you had any kind of major struggles that you had to overcome?
Yeah, it's quite the journey, to say the least. There's been so much leading up to where I'm at now as a coach, and laying that foundation and that groundwork, and my motto and my values and whatnot. But when I was on my journey with my coach that I had hired the third time, it was really about learning your body and respond. Like, why is it responding in these certain ways? And through that journey, I quickly realized that, that sure, I was a super athletic person and my nutrition was not terrible, and we did some fine tuning and whatnot, but there was actually like significant underlying situations and things that my body was going through that I was totally just not paying attention to, because I was so hyper focused on all of these other things that I thought I needed to master, and I was doing right or I was doing wrong. So through all of this, we kind of got to a bit of a plateau, actually, and my body was not responding the way it should have. And now knowing what I know, and looking back and reflecting on that, it was wild, actually, all of the things that we were doing and the things that I was incorporating into my program, and nothing was really changing. And so I got a blood test and I went to a naturopath, and I kind of started using all of my health benefits, which a lot of people don't do. And I was guilty of that. And more or less one thing led to the next. And with these health panels that came, or these blood tests that came back, all of it was like, this is status quo, this is status quo. And then, I'd go to a naturopath and they would drill me with all these questions, and your iron's pretty low. And it's like, yeah, okay, but like, this isn't contributing to what's going on and why I'm not necessarily feeling most optimal. So then I kept pushing like my family doctor, because they were kind of, coming up dry with, the findings or the lack thereof. And she's like, you know what, maybe we'll do this other panel. Let's maybe got nothing to lose. Let's just see what's going on. So then I went and did this blood test again, came back, and there was like elevated levels of prolactin. So that contributes to your pituitary gland in your head, and contributes as a woman to all of your hormones. And if those are of skew at all, good luck pursuing your health goals or the goals that I had set out for myself, along with a million other things that I could be here forever chatting about, right? And so she said, "Oh, that's interesting. We'll have to went for more blood tests and went and got an ultrasound on my kidneys and just did all of this testing. Finally, I got an MRI. I got slotted in at the hospital, and it was as always, this most obnoxious hours, 2:30 in the morning, and went and got an MRI. And I remember leaving, and the technician, I guess, I don't know what you call them technically, but he was like, "Okay, yep, you're all done. You can go get changed." And I remember he put his hand on my shoulder and was like, "I hope you have a good day." And I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, that was kind of weird." Normally they're not super sentimental or heartfelt. They're kind of just in, out, do the job and carry on. And so anyway, I was like, "Oh, that's really nice." It's now 3:30 in the morning, and got dressed and carried on, went home. And then, because I'm such a religious routine person, I woke up at, I think it was 5 a.m. or 5:30 or whatnot, and went to the gym, did my workout, did my cardio, got ready, I had to work that day. It was a bit of a zombie. Got to work, continued on, and then I got this phone call at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And thankfully I only worked till 4 that day. And it was my doctor. And it was the same day that I had my test at the hospital. So instantly my stomach just fell through me, and I was like, "Oh shit." And so anyway, I stepped away, and so she started describing all of this medical wording and terminology, and this more or less this finding of this thing that happened at the scan in the morning. And I remember just being blank. I did not hear anything she was saying. All I heard was brain, and we're going to have to find the neurosurgeon. And I completely just extracted myself from the conversation. And she was like, "Elsa, is this making sense?" And I actually had to check in and be like, "I'm going to need you to say that all over again." Because I just couldn't believe really actually what was being said to me, because I've always been a healthy person. I've always prided myself in, routine and healthy routines, and active and healthy. And I'm in this program and I've lost some weight, and what do you mean I have this problem? I just couldn't believe it. And then again, she kind of went through all of these details of what this finding was. And essentially I had this macroanatoma, which is this mass. It was 3 centimeters on my pituitary gland in my head. And so she began to explain that there's macro and then there's micro. And this was worst case scenario. It's on this pituitary gland. It's impacting your hormones. Your prolactin levels are skyrocketed. And this mass is pushing up on your optic nerve. So if your optic nerve is like this, it's basically skewing it, and it's pushing up on your optic nerve. And she said, if this doesn't get surgically removed, you're going to lose your vision. And it just spiraled, right? She just kept explaining all of these things. And I just remember I obviously was a total disaster. So I kind of just, there was no real action at that time, aside from the fact that we know what we know. Thank goodness I pushed for the betterment of my health. And thank goodness I hired this coach to learn about my body and really push and advocate for myself to figure out why did I hit this plateau? Why am I not feeling like myself? Why is this not working? Something's off. And so, we ended the call. And of course I called Matt, and I'm like, this is what's going on. And he's away working, and he's just beside himself because, Elsa's got to find this neurosurgeon, is being referred to, thank you, to this neurosurgeon. This conversation just spiraled. So I went home, and it was a total disaster. I really just couldn't believe what was being presented to me in this finding. And I'm mortified of the hospital, medical hospital surgery, any of that is quite frankly terrifying for me. So that also contributed to the situation of going okay, you are now the patient. You are the one that needs to be sorted out. So yeah, this diagnosis happened in December. It was December 13th, actually, in 2023. No, sorry, 2022. And then, yeah, from there, it just kind of proceeded into all of this testing. And my neurosurgeon was actually in Kelowna, so I had to travel a whole ton. So I was referred to a neurosurgeon, an ear, nose, throat doctor because the mass was removed through my nose, and then I was referred to basically a hormone specialist for my female reproductive system and like all of the other jazz that was impacted by this mass. So
If they hadn't have found it, was there like a chance that you could have passed away from it?
no, I would have lost my vision, which would have just been
Sucked.
a huge pivot, right? Like I can't even. Granted, I would have, had symptoms of like blurry vision and some things that would have popped up. But then, at all of this moment, it was a tumor at the end of the day. So at that point, we didn't know it was benign until it was out. So basically, I was diagnosed in December. I had to wait until the end of April that following year to get the surgery. So there was definitely, considering the health system, I think it was a quick turnaround. But in the sense of sort of wearing that burden on your shoulders and knowing that this was something you were anticipating was fairly heavy. I wasn't actually given the date for surgery until, much closer to, I think it was kind of like the end of April. And that was when we were in the thick of planning Memorial Cup. So that definitely impacted my presence at the event for sure, because I was in recovery. So
With that and getting the diagnosis, obviously it's very emotional that they say brain tumor. Was there any relief to finally get to the bottom of why your body was kind of behaving the way it was?
absolutely. Yeah. You've hit the nail on the head. I think, with finding this coach that really understood me and was there to teach me, and I was getting these results, and then to just deepen that knowledge and understand like, oh my gosh, there was more to this. So now I've built the foundation. Now we, fast forward to the end of April, remove this mass that was in my head that was causing trauma to my body, and then really just recovering. And I just like the other piece to this was the fact that I had already built that foundation for myself and had lost a bunch of weight. When I was off for those 8 weeks, it was no lifting, no movement, like because the pressure in your head, they had to do all sorts of patching because there was a brain bleed from this mass that was removed. And so it was just like heightened, do not lift, do not do anything like at all. And so for me, being such an active person, that was so hard. It's like, how am I going to sit around for 8 weeks? Like that's just not in me. And I guess the takeaway from that is those 8 weeks, I didn't lose progress. My body was healing. I gave it the foundation and the nutrients that it needed to recover. And I came back and I think I was up maybe like 2 or 3 pounds, but it wasn't fat, And so just knowing that I was able to take that time off and do what I needed to do to support myself and my recovery, and then just come back that much stronger and still continue to make progress with all of that behind me was such a powerful opportunity, and really is what led me into my coaching story is, whether you have a tumor or not, dramatic, or not, what got me through that was my knowledge and understanding that, taking 8 weeks off from the gym wasn't going to kill me. And then there's other opportunities to feel yourself and be healthy. So it's been a very full circle opportunity and moment. So
With having it removed and then you have your 8 weeks off and then you're back in the gym, what were the biggest things you noticed in your life and in your body and fitness that now that you don't have this, massive brain tumor holding you back, what changed?
yeah, I think, at one point in my journey, the goal was just to be skinny. And now, I so enjoy my time in the gym. It's totally therapy for me. And the strength, I think when I came back from surgery, I didn't feel strong because I hadn't really been lifting. And I think even, when I was doing my program before I found this tumor, we were building strength, but as you know, that takes so much time. And so I think, I was really just getting to that space of, fine tuning that muscle growth and building and getting stronger in the gym and seeing progress. But then with that 8 weeks off, I kind of came back and I didn't feel super strong. And that would be the takeaway from it is, yeah, I recovered my body and I focused on what I needed to focus on. And then when I got back to the gym, it was like, hit the ground running. I've been cleared to move my body. You know, it wasn't 100%. I think it was very much like a gradual start, you know, but then from there, it was like, what a beautiful launch pad, because I had all of this knowledge and I knew my body was finally happy again. And like TMI for you perhaps, but like I hadn't had my cycle for over a year. And so finally I was able to get that back into routine. And so my body just was like, you know, if it could have just been like, you know, it was glowing. And so just being able to be in the gym and be in that space and know the effort you're putting in is there's a return on that, was really powerful. So just being strong is a huge passion. It's made a big difference in my life, you know, running and even my golf game. I'm like, wow, I can actually swing a club with like strength and control. Nice.
You'd mentioned that you'd had to hit this plateau, and that's when you sort of started realizing that something was off. When you came back, how much did you smash through that now that you could finally reach your true potential? There's nothing holding you back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was just, you know, I continued to see significant results and like significant growth mentally and physically, and just as a person, you know, I gained this like whole level of confidence, and I was able to get new opportunities in my like, you know, 9-to-5 career, and really shaped me as a person and my independence and like my, you know, my aspirations for myself, and really just got rid of the crap that I didn't need in my life. And before I was such a yes person and sort of just, you know, coasted along, and it just, I really do feel like it's cheesy, but it totally turned a new leaf for me. I was able to like feel like I'm just starting in a new space, and you know, felt good and had more confidence and felt confident in the gym, and just have this burning underlying passion is just to share this with others, and that was my motto right from the get-go, is it's not quantity, it's quality. You know, this isn't my sole this is not my sole job, but it is what fills my cup, in fact, and the more people I can support and help, the better.
I truly believe that people like need struggle. So now that you've had this monumental, you know, life event, everything else the small things, like they must seem, like, don't sweat them. They seem so much, they seem trivial now, I bet.
Yeah. I would say I have like 3 pillars within my business, and it's fitness and nutrition, of course, but then the third one's mindset. And it's huge. And it's, you know, whether I'm coaching a client or whether I'm into my day-to-day or, you know, anything. I think, you know, putting things into perspective and just recognizing and not taking anything for granted and having immense gratitude and just doing the things that you want to do. It's just supports like the stress levels. There's so much going on in people's lives, and just really like sort of trying to simplify and keep things, like you say, don't sweat the small stuff. And it's easy to do that. And don't get me wrong, I still totally do. But I feel like I'm so much more mindful in terms of, you know, what is the actual situation on the table? Is it relevant, and does it need to be dealt with? Or is that something you just kind of let it go, as Mel Robbins would say, right? So, so much, internal work. And I think like you say, there's always a why to somebody's, what they're doing. And for me, you know, my story is definitely a why, but I think it also showcases that whether you have a significant health thing or an underlying significant health issue that contributes to the success of your program or your health, I think the fact that if it's just applying or fine-tuning your methods or what you're doing in your day-to-day, it just goes to show that it doesn't need to be this massive overhaul. It's quite minor, and these sorts of practices can be incorporated into your life quite easily if you're willing to commit to it. It's totally not rocket science, but you also don't have to go through this huge surgery to realize that you are strong and successful and you can do the things.
That's amazing. I've had some health struggles myself before. I'd reached out when I saw your story, actually. Yeah. With your story, did you keep it more private for a while?
Totally. Yeah. I think when I was going through this, I wasn't a huge user of social media. The social media has definitely become more present just with my coaching career, and, you know, just with it being such a huge, you know, underlying my why. It is a space that I felt comfortable sharing because it wasn't a space of like, oh, feel sorry for me. Oh, this is something I went through. Oh, I need all of this heartfelt commenting and, emotion and la-di-da-di-da. I'm totally not a gloater. But there was a purpose as to why I was sharing that. And so, leading up to, before I started coaching, it wasn't really something I'd shared too much online at all, except for just my family and my close people in my world. And if they knew me, and obviously just being off of work and recovering and not being around as much for that period of time. But yeah, I didn't share it too publicly at all. And it's not that I was ashamed of it at any rate, but like I said, I just wasn't really a gloater.
I think it's really inspiring though when you see those stories and people can go through these events like you have and come back stronger because of it. I know some of the things that I shared when I was doing volunteering, there was at least 10 people that came by that I had no idea who they are, and they followed me and they're like, I started running because of you. So when you have your story out there and you're sharing that, there's other people who are going through some stressful times in their life or an injury or, a tragic death in the family or something. And they can see something like that, like, hey, she came back from this, she's stronger. They can internalize that and they can say, I can come back. I can make it through this.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Is that something that you kind of went through? I know you reached out and I had so many messages. I couldn't believe the amount of messages that came through when I had shared that. And really just the community that is there to support you. It's amazing. So yeah, thanks for your message. But yeah, you had a health journey yourself as well.
Yeah, I was 18 and got a head-on collision on the highway. It was my last night in Terrace. I was supposed to move to Vancouver. I got accepted into Vancouver Film School for writing. I wanted to be in film and write scripts, and I loved all that. And yeah, it definitely changed my life. I went in 196 pounds. At the very end of it, the multiple surgeries, the doctor said I was lucky. I was as healthy as I probably wouldn't have made it through the surgeries. So get in the accident, and what had happened is I saw the lights coming and I was in the back seat and I leaned forward, and seatbelt's supposed to go across your hips. Wasn't across my hips. It had come up around my waist, tore my muscle wall, diaphragm ripped in half. My guts were fucked, for lack of a better word. You know when you get like a pot of spaghetti and you pull the noodles out and they're all nice and they're al dente, but if you drain the water and then you don't add any oil, it comes out kind of like in a clump. So if you were to cut yourself open and pull your small intestines out, they're supposed to come out like fresh spaghetti. Mine came out like the clump. So my body was so traumatically injured on the inside from the impact of the car accident that my small intestines were this massive ball. So they ended up cutting out about a third of my small intestine. That was my second surgery in the hospital. They didn't think I'd make it through the first one. They go into the second surgery and they didn't know what was going on. It was about 2 weeks later. I'd been in the hospital, couldn't eat anything. So I'd eat and I would just like start throwing up. So I had the NGO tube up into my nose to drain, and I was still throwing up, losing weight. And they go into the second one. It was supposed to just be exploratory. And they get in there, and I find this out afterwards. It was supposed to be maybe an hour or two, and I'm on the table, I think, for 8 hours. And while I'm in the surgery, the surgeon on speakerphone has the head of trauma surgery in Vancouver on the phone because he'd never seen anything like this. He's like, what do I do? So that's when they decided to, cut out a third of the small intestine. Some of the pieces, so you got it like this, they looped it back together and cut a hole. So I've got like a roundabout in a couple sections of my small intestine. And then there was a 6-inch laceration on my large intestine. I was lucky that it didn't burst and go septic. So then I had small intestine come out your side. They slit a hole. They get it. They fold it back on itself. It's called a stoma. And then you have ileostomy. So you shit into a bag. So I had this bag. I've always think humor helps with healing. So I named my stoma Winnie the Pooh.
That's fantastic.
That was funny. So yeah, I ended up 29 days in the hospital. I lost 50 pounds. I came out like Skeletor, just a scarecrow compared to what I was before. My first meal I wasn't allowed to eat too much. I had mushroom soup, and I was allowed half a can. So my dad made it, and he brought it, and I had that, and it was 7 years to put the weight back on.
I know healing and that journey in the hospital is not a good place. I remember just so like, get me out of here as soon as possible. Like, this is just not the space. Yeah, terrifying. Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, it's shaped you, right? It's totally a burning. It's a why. It's why you do the things you do. It's a reflection. It's a learning moment.
Everything after that is easier. I try and live life to the fullest. When I was going through it, I had the bag for 4.5 months, and it sucked. Like you'd fart into this bag, but you didn't know, and like you'd wake up and it had popped off, and it hasn't gone through your large intestine, so it's just watery, and you're covered in your own feces. And so I was 18, and I had decided, I'm like, if the bag doesn't go, like I would have killed myself. Like I decided that.
Did you know at that time that it would eventually go?
They didn't know.
So it was just like, let's see how your body heals.
See how it heals.
So you had it for 4 months until your body had healed?
After 4 months, I went in a couple times, and you have to drink this. It's like this like chalky kind of thing. It comes in, those little like styrofoam coffee cups.
Yeah.
It's that, but it weighs like 3 or 4 pounds. Like that's how thick it is. And you have to go in with like fasted. So you go in, and then once it comes through comes to come out the bag, obviously, they then do like a scan because they can see where it is, and so it just coats all your intestines, and they can see how it's healed. And then they did that, and then I remember getting the call from the doctor, and I probably felt similar to how you were. You're getting the call, and you don't know if it's good news, you don't know if it's bad news, and it happened right away. And I was like, oh, and it was positive. They're like, hey, everything's good. We can get you in for surgery to reconnect everything. And I was like, fuck, thank God.
Oh, wow.
And with that too, like your experience, you don't know when it's going to happen.
Totally. Yeah.
So like, we don't know when it could be a year. And I'm like, okay, I can get through it now. I know there's an end date. And I got a call a week or two later, like, hey, we're going to get you in and reconnected anything. And finally was able to poop out my butt.
And life was all meant to be.
Yeah.
It was all back together. That's wild. Do you still like have symptoms or experience any difficulty with like, that's a significant overhaul of your body?
I did for years.
Yeah.
I would get, I remember one specific time I had intestinal blockage, and I didn't know it at the time. And then I talked to my doctor afterwards. So I was in like on the floor fetal position with like the hot water bottle on there, and it was excruciating. And then I had talked to my doctor, and he's like, you basically felt what a woman goes through like her worst period cramps. Like that's what it like comes on like a wave, and then everything like tightens up, and it's like my ass is tight and everything. And I'm like,
for sure.
And then it goes.
Yeah.
And then so that was probably the worst of it. But some things that happened afterwards is on the, you can kind of see here, see how it's kind of indented?
Yeah.
So that was where the muscle wall tore, and then my diaphragm had torn as well. So catching my breath was hard. This would cramp up, and I'd have to like stretch it out. But the worst of it is 2 injuries went undiagnosed. So I was in the middle seat, and then I leaned forward, so I'm out here like this, and then the guy beside me, he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, so he hit me on the back of my shoulder, and then I hit the driver's seat. He hit the passenger seat, and you know the rails that car seats are on? Those were both bent off the tracks. That's how hard we hit them. So from the force of him hitting me, collarbone had a fracture in it, and it had already healed because this was like 3 months later because I was on such heavy painkillers. I'll tell you a story about morphine in the hospital, but what happened is I actually tore my rotator cuff, like from like here to here. But because of all the other pain and the painkillers, I didn't realize, and I wasn't doing like much movement. My physio and recovery at the start was just like walked in the driveway, and you talked about your mom and how much of a rock she was for you. That was my mom.
Yeah.
Our driveway was about 200 feet long, and she's like, "You gotta get up for a walk." And I'm like, "Fuck, I don't want to." She's like, "No." So we go to the end of the driveway, and that was it, day one. And then day two is an extra 10 feet, and she took me out every day until, because I mean, especially when you're in the hospital and your things aren't moving through you, and that's why they recommend after a meal, what are you supposed to do? We'll go for a 15-minute walk, right? Helps everything move.
Yeah.
So I didn't do any sort of like reaching. And then I think it was about 3 months later, I was finally able to, like the pain had subsided. I was getting more physical. And I went to and I was like, oh, I couldn't lift my arm above my shoulder because the rotator cuff had been torn.
And you had no idea at this time?
No idea.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. And so then you had to go through all that debacle, getting that healed and back to square one.
Lots of physio.
Nice. Oh my goodness.
Open the door. That was the main
What
one.
a series of events.
Yeah. The shoulder bothered me until probably I got into my powerlifting days. And then that's when because it was limiting me in like my overhead press and my bench. And then I just built up everything around it. The rotator cuff was never going to be any better than what it was. I don't know, maybe like 60% of what it should be, but getting strong shoulders dealt and getting the smaller like connective tissue around it, the stabilizer muscles. And then once that was strong, then the rotator cuff pain kind of subsided at that point.
Totally. Huh. Crazy. Well, I'm glad to hear you're all healed up. I mean, you have a series of other injuries and stories, but you're living a good life.
Yeah, that was the major one.
Yeah.
So life-changing for sure, changed my perspective on things. Never went back to writing, never went to film school, but people look back and they say like, if you could tell yourself something and you could don't get in the car that night or don't go drinking with the boys. I wouldn't change anything because I love who I am, and I am who I am because of the past experiences that I've went through.
Yeah, I know that's such a good way of saying it, right? And I'm a firm believer of that. Everything happens for a reason, and I think you've said it just in a less cliche way, right? It's just, I would not be in this space if I hadn't gone through what I'd gone through, right? I probably would have just finished the program and I would have been feeling great and continued on my merry way. But yeah, I think, I would have just been another one of the coaches out in the world, right? Like, saying all the things, but I think having this bigger why or this purpose and this purpose to share that with other people is deep in me to make that happen.
And you must feel like you need to give back, because if you hadn't have had the coach and pushing you to what your limits were at the time, you wouldn't have known that these things were happening because you had that plateau. So maybe because of that, you're going to be helping a client and then they might have something similar. And it's like, oh, hey, you can't squat as much because your ACL is actually torn. How have you been walking around for the last 5 years?
Exactly. Yeah. Just thinking you've got this bum knee or this sore knee or this whatever. Yeah. It's so true. Yeah. It's unbelievable. And that's why I tell my clients, I'm like, you are not a nuisance. Like, if you're experiencing something, tell me. Like, the more I know, the better. I can coach you better. But what I don't know, right? And so it's just conversations, transparency. We chat all of the time, and it boils down to exactly that. We need to know what's going on and what your body's telling you, because at the end of the day, it knows best.
Yeah. Do you mostly coach women then?
Yeah, I would say just naturally I would end up coaching, or I do coach more women, although I have had a few male patients, clients. But I will say openly that I find, quite funnily enough, that male clients are more stubborn than the women. They're like, no, I'm not doing that. No, that's annoying. No. So we pivot and we find the solutions, and we've had some seriously wicked success there as well. But yeah, I would say my niche is definitely women for sure. Yeah.
So I just kind of had a thought now. So with the tumor, and it was on your pituitary gland, and your hormones were a bit out of whack. After that was done, did everything return to normal, or do you have to take any like endogenous hormones to help balance out?
Yeah, they expected that to be the case just on the size and the impact that it had made on the pituitary gland, because this mass had obviously been there for quite some time. And so it had misformed the pituitary gland. And so it has essentially done damage to the gland and its production and its ability to do its job. And so that hormone specialist that I was referred to in Kelowna as well, alongside my neuro and my ENT, was very much anticipating that to be the case. But she didn't want to, subscribe anything to me or
Prescribe?
Yeah, thank you. Until she knew how my body was recovering and responding, which I really appreciated, because I didn't actually end up having to take anything. My body was just healthy and happy, and it knew what it needed to do, so long that this nuisance piece got removed. And the one thing that they weren't sure of, actually, which thankfully this has been solved now, is because of the damage, was my fertility and my ability to pursue that down the road. And, that was pretty devastating for me to hear going into this, not knowing the end result and how much damage was actually done. So yeah, it looks like everything's squared away there as well. So yeah, definitely some significant check marks and things that could have been so much worse if I hadn't been aware and caught this in time. It could have just resulted in so many other factors and situations. So
Did they ever tell you like why it formed, or just kind of just luck of the draw?
yeah, just luck of the draw. And it's actually fairly common. And now I know a couple people in the community that have this, and they've reached out to me because they've seen my story and they're like, I've been through this, or there's somebody that was just recently diagnosed with this and was asking like, what was your experience? What happened? All of these questions that came to me, at that moment, going, all of these medical terms, like, what does this boil down to? What does this actually mean for me? So, being told that you have to stay in the ICU for 4 nights was pretty terrifying. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're working on my brain. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So, thankful to have that behind me. And then my doctor's appointment just a few weeks ago was really just, I had to go back and forth to Kelowna so many times to get checkups and that. And they finally just sealed the deal and said, yeah, we don't need to see you. This is looking healed and you're healthy and happy and moving on. So.
Do you have a higher risk for other forms of tumors or cancers then?
Yeah, so there is a possibility still currently right now that they weren't able to get like every speck of it out. So I do actually have to go for annual MRIs just to make sure that things don't pop up. So that's more or less my I'm status quo as long as those come back clear or clean. So I have another one in September, I believe. So.
And if anything comes up, then they can get to it.
Exactly.
Right
and it
away.
won't need surgery. They'll be able to do, because they will have caught it so much sooner. I think there's other ways of mitigating it to become worse or impact my health. So
how does that weigh on you, knowing that it might come back, knowing how kind of bad it was before?
Yeah, I think, weighs on me, but I don't get super caught up in it. I think I'm just, I truly believe that I am like the healthiest version I've ever been. And I know my body so well that if something's off, I feel like I'll know before they know. And I also, that team of, my doctors and everybody on my side was so diligent and so aware, and the communication was solid, and I was in and I got the job done, and they did everything they could have done. And so I just know that I'm backed with solid support and knowledge. And so that makes me feel a little bit more, calm, knowing that if something comes up, I've got good people, good educated, knowledgeable people on my side. So yeah.
With what you know now, looking back, were there signs that you didn't notice before that this was coming on over the years, do you think?
It was masked. I was taking birth control. I was on birth control for 10 years. And so they don't know whether that was a contributing factor or not. Looking back, I mean, I'm not a specialist in that world at all in terms of the pituitary gland and my head, to say the least. But, your body's in a state of thinking it's pregnant for 10 years. That plays a factor on your hormones. And so it masked these symptoms. And I did miss that piece actually is when I was in my program and going through all of this, one of the things that I did to try and solve this, I feel kind of blah, I feel ick, I feel really like full in water retention. It just didn't feel good. I stopped taking birth control. And so it was a matter of time for that to sort of wear off and my body to kind of try and even out for it to really start sending me these cues of something's up. But that pill was masking it.
How long were you off the pill before you kind of went in for your testing?
I think it was like 2 months,
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't too long. But it wasn't long at all.
Do you feel like if you had stayed on the pill that it would have continued to mask it and maybe
for sure.
hit that octave harder?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think my symptoms would have been less, I feel this way, something's up, to shit, my vision's going. Yeah. Or
and it's too late at that point.
And then it's irreversible. Yeah. Because there's no fixing that optic nerve and the impact that it was having on it. So there was so many so close but not quite situations, a part of that entire thing. So yeah, that's just, yeah, everything happens for a reason, right? And it's exactly what you said about your story is you wouldn't change it because it's shaped who you are. And it was damn scary, and it was, you know, you had a good support system and you had the people on your side, and people did everything they could to make it better and support you, and while you were in the hospital or leading up to or afterwards. But yeah, this community, you know, the Memorial Cup committee, I wasn't there for the event, but like they were sending me messages, gifts, like sending stuff to the hospital, my family, my friends, my work. Like it was unbelievable. And even to just last week when I posted, like everything's kind of done and sealed up and good to go. The community, you know, he knows how to make you feel pretty special. Yeah. So yeah, feeling fairly full and full of gratitude for that and the story for sure.
I know from my own personal experience, when the shitty things happens and you're low, there's always kind of that super bright memory, that burning star that shines in your, and it's that happy moment. What's your best memory, your happy moment from that time when you were experiencing this all?
Before I had surgery, or
yeah, from when you had the diagnosis and you have this weight on you, there has to be something that kind of stands out. For me, it was when I was in the hospital for that 30 days. It was just the outpouring of support. I didn't know really how much I was kind of loved and how many people, like everyone came out. People that so I was freshly graduated. I was only 6 months out of high school, and people that I hadn't talked since graduation came by and signed the guest book, and I was super out of it. I was, you know, high as fuck on morphine the entire time because I was in so much pain. But looking back, that's what it was. Just like you're talking about the support. So what was that
was exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, it's exactly that. Is leading up to my surgery. Of course, I was diagnosed in December. The Memorial Cup is it's like 2 years of planning. It's huge. So many things that go into that. And so at the time we had a host organizing committee. It was called the HOC, and there was about 50-ish people, whether it was sponsorship or, you know, transportation, food services, logistics, kind of the list went on. You know, the chair of the organization was, you know, shared this news with the HOC because the date of my surgery conflicted. The event was middle of May and my surgery was at the end of April, and I'm the director of events and of the events component of this event, right? Alongside another lady, of course. And so she took a huge amount of the weight to execute it. But, you know, going back, I think it was my friends, it was my family, it was my work family, it was that the HOC I think stood out the most for me. It was a committee. The CHL, the Canadian Hockey League, they're all from Toronto, and I built a huge relationship with all of them. And like they sent me cards and, you know, a blanket for the hospital, as I mentioned, and we're still friends and we still connect. And yeah, I built some really cool friendships out of that, and still to this day we're still connected, and yeah, people from that world are checking in. So it would 100% be the support and just really not realizing how much backbone you have and how much people are behind you cheering for you.
How many people are in your corner?
Yeah. And even that's how I feel like sometimes online, you know, I'm like, oh man, am I just like annoying the hell out of everybody with all of my this and that and the other thing? But, you know, then you go out in community and they're like, oh my God, your stuff is so helpful. Or it's like, you're so inspiring. Or, oh yeah, I saved that workout. That was a doozy. Or like every time I go somewhere, I'm getting that feedback and I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm doing the right thing. So it really is pretty solid.
With your coach at the time, was it her suggestion to maybe stop the birth control, or did you come up with that yourself?
No, I did that. Yeah. I was like, you know, I've been on this for 10 years. This has got to be bad. And I was doing a lot of reading and like investigation. I'm like, what's going on? And I've always been a huge advocate for myself and my health. And so I think, you know, it was just one of these things that I simply could control. And it's scary because it's like, oh, would have it been better to be pregnant or been on this birth? You know, like you started playing these games, right? But it's just one of these things that as a young woman you do it, right? It's just the norm. But it really makes me wonder if I have a daughter one day, like, man, it's like being on that drug for that many years. I don't know if I'm going to recommend that.
Yeah.
But then, what's the con to this? So yeah, it really puts things into perspective for sure.
Yeah, my fiance was on it for a long time, and it really fucked her up. And then she talked with me about it. She's like, I don't want to be on this anymore. It's ruining me. And she was some of the same things that you're saying, like no cycles and feeling like shit all the time. And then she went off it, and it was a total 180 for her in her health and how she felt. And I mean, when you're fucking with your hormones for that long too, it's not a short period of time. Especially now kids are sexually active much younger. If you're 13 and you're on it, and then you're 27. It's 14 years of
bad
screwing with your hormone. It's natural for you to, have a cycle. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's just all of these things that we're dumping into our poor system that it's trying to process, and you're making it pretend to be pregnant for this many years so that you don't get it's a bit messed.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big takeaway for me is, that was not worth it. Yeah, we can make smart decisions, and really it's not, I should be careful. Perhaps this could be a bit, but it's not that easy, to get pregnant necessarily. But anyways, I'll save that for others.
Yeah. Well, I know now they're starting to put more money and research into male contraceptives. And I always thought, why would you put a bulletproof vest on? Why don't you just unload the gun? So they've, because it's big pharma, right? So there's a lot of money involved in it, and but they do have some. I think they're on human trials or almost through the FDA for.
Are they?
Yeah, a non-hormonal pill for men that doesn't mess with their testosterone.
That's wicked.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, and for men, right? The flip side, it's just your the mental health, but also just the physical health in terms of fertility and that type of thing. It's equally as much of a playing game in terms of just your foundation and your health and your wise and that type of thing. So
for
pretty
us,
fascinating.
Yeah. What we ended up doing, so I had two sons from previous, and she had never wanted kids, and we had the conversation early on. Hey, do you want kids? She's like, no, I'm fine with your two. And if she had wanted kids, then I love her, and I would have done that. I would have been fine with a bigger family, but she didn't want. So we're happy with the two young boys that we have. And then she went off the pill, and that's when we started having the conversation about a vasectomy. Yeah. So I went into the doctor, and about a year later, I went in and got
her done.
Oh man, it was so. Just so any guys out there listening, I'm gonna look right at the camera. Anyone out there listening, this is the worst that could happen. This isn't your typical kind of story. So I go in day of, and I'm a tough guy, and they say you need someone to drive you afterwards. I'm like, oh, fuck that, I'm fine. So I'm the first one of the day, and I drive in, and I park the vehicle, and I go up, and I go into the surgery, and they come out, and they've got this big fuck off needle. And they're like, okay. I'm like, where's that go? And they're like, just turn away. So it goes right into your jumblies. They freeze everything, and freezing doesn't work well for me. If it's say I need a cavity fill or something, and they put it in and they go, I'm like, no, I can still feel it. So I'm usually 2 or 3 doses. I don't react very well to it. And also, off topic, but when they do conscious sedation,
yes,
I don't respond to it. So I've had surgeries before. I had my nose operated on, and I thought I was being put out, and I'm actually terrified of being put out. I think I'm going to die. But they're like, oh no, it's conscious sedation. I'm like, okay. So they do it, and then they go to drill my nose, and I'm awake the entire time, and you're not supposed to remember it. And then they just kind of talk with you and everything, because you're not supposed to form new memories, and it doesn't work for me. So that's
you have a vivid memory of that procedure
of the hammer going up and so that's
too much.
Yeah,
that's not something you should probably remember.
I was able to breathe better afterwards. So going back to the vasectomy, so they put it in, and they go and they poke you with they pinch your testicles with a pair of almost like needle nose pliers. And I'm like, no, I can feel that. So they freeze me again. They freeze me a third time, and then they go and they make a small incision. And then what they do in the vasectomy is they have your vas deferens that come from inside you, and they link up to the back of your testicles. And then they pull it out. And then I learned this from speaking with them while it's going on, if you get hit in the groin, and I'm not sure how it is for females, but for guys, if you get hit hard enough, you feel sick.
Yeah.
And what that is that's actually, there's a nerve somewhere up in there and it's being pushed on too hard. So when they're pulling my vas deferens out, mine are very short. So for them to get it out, they had to like yank on it and stretch it out. So it's pressing on that nerve and they snip it. And while they're doing whatever it is they're doing, I start throwing up. So I'm throwing up on myself as they're doing the surgery and they can't let go. So they have to keep doing it. And they bring me one of those kidney, like cardboard kind of bowls they have. So I'm there, I'm throwing up and I'm trying not to move and they're suturing it and they get done the first one and now the freezing's worn off. So then they have to freeze me again while I have this incision in my testicles, in my scrotum. We'll use medical terms here.
Yeah.
So they freeze me again. It's supposed to be like 10 minutes in and out. It's about 30 minutes in now. And then they pull the second one and then I'm throwing up out the other side and it was just
traumatic.
Oh my God. And then they sew me up and like, hey, you're good to go. And I've got puke all over me. And of course, we're supposed to go and fasted. And I had breakfast and everything. So they're like, you were not fasted. It's like, yeah, I know that now. And I go out and you're all frozen, so you feel fine. You got someone to drive? You're like, oh yeah, I'm fine. So I go drive home. And I feel great because everything's frozen. So I'm in the kitchen, I'm cooking, I take the dog for a walk, and it's 3 or 4 hours later, and I'm like, oh my God. And it swelled up. It was like, no joke, like,
oh my gosh, that's
like
awful.
2 mangoes down there, or like but eggplant color.
Yeah.
And it was bad. And then I'm on the couch for like 4 or 5 days, typical bag of frozen peas.
Oh,
and again, this is the worst that could happen. This is not your typical experience. It was... It's crazy. I can look back and I can laugh on it now because I think it's hilarious because...
Well, you find humor in
always
finding humor.
Injuring myself, but it sucked. But
no doubt.
Long of the short of it, I went through that for Janelle so that she doesn't have to be on the pill so that we don't have, an unwanted pregnancy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and, that's something you have control over, right? You don't need to take this supplement or whatnot to, deter that from happening. So
my friends say I'm lucky, and my kind of motto is everything works out for me. Everything always works out for me. It
has to.
It's just what it is, and it's things work out for me because I put the time and effort in building, whether it's my mindset or building up mental fortitude, or like when I got in the car accident when I was 18, it worked out for me because I was so diligent with being in the gym and building up that muscle. When I started working out, I was like 165 pounds and I got up to like 196, and all those newbie gains, especially when you're 18 and the testosterone's flowing through you. But if I hadn't have pushed myself and gotten to that, and I went in at 165 and then I lose 50 pounds and I'm down to 100 pounds, like you don't have it to lose.
No. Yeah, no, you don't have, exactly. And that's why I keep using this word, and I feel like it's coming to me so often these days, is like the foundation. It doesn't matter what you're doing and what you're looking to achieve, whether it be goals or just day-to-day life and just waking up feeling good and strong. It's just building that foundation. That looks so different for everybody. But it's exactly like you said, that could have been so different. Yeah, so different.
Yeah, it's the work you put in before kind of the bad things or the good things happen. You put the work in and you have that opportunity because of what you've done before, and that is your foundational thing. It's like in running, you run slow to go fast.
Yeah.
So you build up that cardio over, months and years of running slow, and all of a sudden, I can remember when it finally clicked for me, like running that low, like zone 2, when I'm running and I'm not out of breath and I'm not really looking at anything. I look at my heart rate and I'm in like my zone 2, but I'm running at the pace that I used to run at, like zone 4.
Zone 4 or 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Wild. Yeah,
but that's 100% your foundation, your building blocks for that.
Totally. Yeah. No. Yeah. You've made it when.
Oh man. Your team that you kind of have. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So I'm coaching with A&E Coaching. So Angie Olson is the founder. I actually hired her as a business coach, and we were working on a bunch of projects. And then eventually she was like, so you're sweet. I see your potential. Let's do you want to join my team?
I love Angie. She's great.
She's so solid, and she's such a dear friend. And I really appreciated her support, and she's got such amazing strategies and such great tactics, and is just really aligned with me and my values in terms of just like authentic and just says what she needs to say, and has some really amazing groundwork and foundation with her business. And I saw that being of significant support with me and what I can provide as service to my clients. And so, she's got a wicked team of ladies that are all equally as aligned with me and my values. So really excited to be on that team. And, we've got some really amazing strategies set out for, just clients, and sharing my story and sharing my knowledge, and really just changing their lives.
So how does it work so you were a coach before,
Yep.
and you have clients, and now you're part of this team. So what does the team kind of bring to you? Is it more clients? Is it support? Is it different teaching methods? Or
Yeah, I
how
think
does that
it's
work?
all of the above, actually.
Okay.
I think just having that community, and I think especially for me with having a full-time job, having the support of just, some of the basics and the fundamentals and that groundwork being set, and then having her as support for business and strategy on how I'm doing things, and really making sure I have the resources. And there's only so many hours in the day, and I certainly recognize that I will be burnt out if I try to do that all on my own. And I really find energy and fuel in the fire working with like-minded individuals to like all have the same motive. And I think we really all just like get along so well together, and such fire energy when we get together. So it's just kind of like a community to be a better coach and have the resources to be a better coach, and then really just have her business perspective and support for, executing a good, solid service for my clients. So, yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't have this full-time job and then have this and do it all like on my own, and have all these platforms, and just deal with all of there's lots of behind the scenes stuff, as you know, right? This takes a ton of time. And so I just want to share my passion and educate and do the coaching. I don't really want to do all the other stuff. So
What are your thoughts on work-life balance? And I know it seems like there's a big push these days, especially among younger people. You have to live your life, and it's all about just the beach, and like you don't have to work and everything. And I'm from the opposite side. I think you should grind your ass off, and if you want to get ahead, you have to put the time in, and hopefully from your efforts, you can build the life for yourself and your family so that eventually you can have more. There's always going to be sacrifices. I don't see my kids as much as I want to. I left at the house at like 6:30 this morning, which is late for me. I'm usually in the gym by like 5, but because I'm going on this trip, I stayed at home, made my son pancakes.
Nice.
But usually I'm gone by 5 and I'm not home till 8, and they're asleep and they're going to bed. So I have those sacrifices. So what are your thoughts on work-life balance?
Yeah, it's such a good conversation. It's something that I could definitely work on. I spend I work 10 hours at the mine. I work 4 10-hour days. So I go to the gym. The gym opens at 5. I hammer out my workout from 5 to 6, and then I get ready, go to work, and then I come home, and I am solely focusing on my coaching because I've made a commitment to them, and that is, in fact, it's an area I want to spend time in. So I'm thankful for that. But I think, for me to be a good person for Matt, my fiance, or a good coach for my clients, or a good friend or a good colleague, I have to be good for myself, which is why I know that starting my day with movement is like a non-negotiable. It's a given. It's happening. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter what time I have to get up. It's happening. And that sets the foundation for my day to be positive and successful. So that's a work-life balance kind of piece for me. That's a hard fast. But then also, when I'm coaching and I say I'm available at 9:00 at night, if it's something that I can act on and it's fairly, easy to deal with at that time, I absolutely will. But if there's a little bit more like tactics and things that we need to dive into a little bit deeper, I set the boundaries that like, this person's going to be totally fine. It's not detrimental. It's not going to hinder their results. Deal with it in the morning when I plan to, do said tasks that I have laid out for my day. So I think just setting those healthy boundaries of what you need and what's a priority and what's, something that can be put off or wait till the scheduled time for it. But yeah, what about you?
I make the time that I do have, I try and make it as quality as I can. I know the biggest thing for me is if I set my mind to something, and this is a symptom or a condition of having ADD. It's like I'm going to do it. I don't have a 50 or 25%. It's like I'm doing something or I'm not. I'm very black and white in that matter. So Janelle, my fiance, she realizes very on, and so with the ADD, if I set my mind to something, I can do it. But Janelle is very supportive. She knows that if I'm going to do something or I need to do something, the best thing for her is, and for me, is to be very supportive of that. So she's supportive of the late nights, and I make sure when I leave in the morning, I go in and I give her a kiss on the forehead, and I go and I tuck my boys in if they're at my house, not their moms. And when I come home, if it's late, I go and I lie with my son and scratch his head, and then I go and I give her a kiss. But when I am home, make sure we take the dog out together. Or we go, like we're going towards my birthday, so I'll be 39 tomorrow.
Love it. That's
we're gonna go to. She's always wanted to go to the Kootenays, so we're going down to Nelson for a couple of days. Turn the cell phones off and just I know
quality time is it's so important. Just like disconnect from work, disconnect from coaching, just disconnect and just really do what makes you, what you enjoy to do. So yeah, like for me, spending time at the lake or at the ocean or wherever, golfing, the gym.
Yeah.
Always in the gym. But yeah, filling your cup, doing what makes you happy. Yeah. And finding that, because lots of people don't necessarily have those outlets.
No, not at all. Sounds like you have a pretty good support network. Your partner is very supportive of
he's
your
always
long hours.
Supportive of my just ridiculous ideas. He's like, "You're doing what?" I'm like, "Yeah, watch me." So he's working out of town right now, so there's lots of just we make work with what time we have together. And actually my training for work was in Kelowna last week, so he's actually out there staying right now for work. So we got to spend 10 days together actually doing that work and life. So that definitely filled my cup. I came home feeling like, spent time with my person.
That's what Janelle always says, filling her cup. And for her, it's just, they have like the love languages, and her love language is touch.
Yeah.
And she just needs to be close. And I love it because if I'm at a particularly long day, I work and then we do a podcast, or I'm out for like a 2-hour run, and I get home and you might experience this, but you're like go at work, and then you're go with your clients and training and stuff. And then when you finally have that chance to sit down, and your body's like powers down.
Absolutely.
So I power down, and then I put my head in her lap, and then she's just scratching my head, and then that's filling her cup, and it's some quality time we're spending together.
Yeah, and quality time doesn't have to be these elaborate things like taking the dog for a walk, like you said, right? And like we go to the gym and lift together, and it's just I just love it. It's just such a nice space to be in, and it's a healthy space. And we've kind of just really got some of these simple things, like even just going for a drive. We just get out together, and for me, it's definitely quality time.
Where can people find you? How do they do that?
Yeah, my Instagram, Elsa Jane _fit. I know, super cliche. My middle name's Jane, though, so that is where you'll find me. And I share all sorts of my stories and my passion and my why, and really those solutions that we'll be able to solve together as clients. And then also, if they mention this podcast, if they want to reach out and mention this podcast, there is a little bit of a discount that we'll be offering for programs.
Wicked.
So, I will save the rest for the DMs.
Yeah. So we'll put that in the show notes. This has been great, Elsa. Thank you for sharing your story. I think if you're comfortable with it, you should lean into that online. I know from sharing my story, like when I stopped drinking and going through the car accident, like you said, when you shared it, the DMs that come in, I think it's just such an opportunity to help people. And I would love to, I know we're going to talk after more often off camera about this, but I think what you're doing is great. I love your content. I love your energy. And I think if I was in need of a coach, I would be honored to have you with that.
That's super cool. I appreciate the feedback, and totally likewise. I think, there's such wicked people in this community, depending on your niche and what your why is. I think it's really cool. So happy to be in the space and really excited for the opportunities and just to share my knowledge and my story and, just make people feel like dieting and nutrition and feeling good and confident in your body is not hard, and it's not a hindrance. It's actually going to create more freedom, make you enjoy life. And
couldn't agree more.
Yeah, totally.
All right, everyone.
Thanks,
So Elsa Jane _fit. Check her out. It'll be in the show notes. Thanks for listening. And it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Gil.
All right.